What's up, everyone? Come on in, check out my new build.
Yeah, I want to know prep race.
What's going on, everyone? Time to start the new build. Here it is. Name's Clyde. It's a 72 Mazda Rx2. It's a really cool little car. Original rotary car from the factory. Show you some things with it. It's a original front strut car and rear 4-link car. Here's a little rear end. It kind of looks like almost a 9-inch, but it's really small. You can see. Pair of the hand, it's super little. So really cool little car. What I'm doing is I'm going to get the car all taken down, put it on jack stands kind of like this, so then I can kind of use it as a jig to mount the car to and start mounting everything. I got to get all the front suspension off, the rear, so the rear steering link is behind, and on the LT engine I'm going to need it to sit kind of right in this area for the oil pan. So once the oil pan can clear right here, I need to move the steering. I'll probably put a manual like panel rack up in here. So that'll work out, or hopefully it works out. I'll have to cut the whole tunnel out of the car most likely because it's super little and the 6L80 is definitely not going to fit in it. I'm not sure how far I'm going to have to cut back. I might end up having to cut the whole tunnel out to fit the drive shaft in it, but we'll see. So I'm just getting started with it, getting the car kind of set up to where I can start looking at everything, getting a real good game plan. I'll get some of the panels off the car, hood off the car, all that stuff, so I can get going on all of that. Alright, so I was going to take the sway bar off because on the Camaro I did that, but looking at it, I'm thinking I got to keep it on because I think it acts as like a dual purpose. It's kind of like triangulates, or however you want to say it, the lower A-arm, so then it can't walk in and out. So I'm thinking this acts as more of a sway bar / lower A-arm. So I'll probably end up trying to leave it and see what I can do. Hopefully the oil pan will clear it. Now you can see it's much stronger, so it definitely needs that for sure. Because so the original plan was to use, I have an SN95 off of a Mustang. I figured strut car, I'd just use the factory strut, put it in there, and use a whole like Mustang SN95 or Fox body type setup on this car. But after looking at it, I can order aerospace brakes and convert it to 5-lug from that. I'll get some new shocks and probably convert the front end. There's a couple companies that make a coilover conversion kit for it. So you modify the stock shock and makes it into a coilover. So that's my plan kind of for the front end. We'll go ahead and just keep it simple. No need for anything crazy. The car's not gonna go real fast, but it should run pretty good. So I want something good for stopping, but I don't think I gotta go through the whole front suspension, completely re-engineer the whole car. So. Alright, so into day one, I got the engine sitting in the engine bay. It's super tight, way tighter than I thought. So I'm gonna have to give it some thought with what I want to do. The pulleys are super tight. I might be able to go to a Corvette. If it's like the LS, the Corvette's sit tighter to the into the chassis, into the engine, so I might be able to go in further with the accessories. But otherwise, it kind of gives you an idea. Not bad. Got some room for the headers. That shouldn't be really too big of a deal. The engine really, once I clear out a few other things, could maybe go back. Well, not really, because the direct injected fuel pump's sitting right there. So yeah, I don't think headers are going to be bad at all in this thing. Well, on the driver's side, I'm going to have to put a manual rack, so that will get tight. Have to have something come out and tie into the front rack, but I still think I'm going to be all right as far as that goes. It's just how much room I have front to back. Looks like that's going to be the major issue, but otherwise I'm freaking happy. This is going to be awesome. Super cool. So last time you guys saw the car, a few days ago, about a week maybe now, I got the engine set in the car. It's going to be really tight, possibly, hopefully get it slid back a little bit, gain some room. I might have to put the radiator clear back underneath, like where the factory gas tank's at. I'm thinking that might work out best. It sucked to work in here. It got down to like 1 degree over the couple days, so I wasn't doing much, but other trying to put a little bit of insulation in the shop. I need to keep doing some more. I'll get a couple boards every so often, just start working on insulating it. Got a new pellet stove. April's staying nice and warm, and we're gonna see how that works. So far it seems to be doing pretty good. So I got the engine pulled out. I kind of marked out where I need to cut for the trans tunnel, so I'm gonna get rid of all the brake lines, clear up some of this other stuff. I'll have to remove like the heater core from the inside. I was hoping to be able to reuse it and just use the factory heater, but that's not gonna work out. April's in here. She's working on getting the interior out of the car. We're gonna get the center console and the carpet out, and so we can start cutting for that. Probably get the dash out too. And I'm thinking, with the way that the engine's really tight between the front end and the front of the engine, where I'm not gonna really be able to fit a radiator, I might try to do like a rear mount radiator with 2 fans or something. There's plenty of room. Looks like it'll be pretty easy to mount to like the little subframe for the gas tank and everything. So that's what I'm planning on doing. This kind of crazy little video back and forth on a lot of different things. I've been out here probably 3 or 4 different days working on little things here and there when I can. I've been doing live Facebook videos with some racers from around Colorado. I'm going to start working on a lot more of that stuff too. So if you haven't checked that out, please do. But that's why this is kind of a few little clips here and there, and just working on it as I can, like anybody else would, I guess, a project. So I got it kind of marked out. I got a good idea where I'm going to cut. I got the little heater core pulled out of the dash, so I don't mess up any of that. I was hoping I'd be able to keep it, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen. So I'm going to cut up around the firewall, come down across here in the back of the tranny. Looks like it's going to line up kind of right there. So I'm going to take a pretty good sized piece out to begin with, put the tranny in there and see what happens. I was looking at another guy's car last night. He ended up using like a GTO tunnel out of a factory car, so I might look around for a wrecked car at a junkyard where I can go cut the tunnel out of it and use it to weld back in. It makes it look a little more factory. You don't get just that plain sheet metal trans tunnel, which I might end up using, but I'll see what I can come up with to kind of help that look, or just to finish it off a little bit nicer. So I'm going to start cutting on the firewall. All right, so no fires, that's good. So I'll take this time to talk to some of the rotary guys out there. I know that this is not what you wanted to see happen to an RX2. The car was rotting away in the backyard. I picked it up for one purpose. That was to swap it and drive the shit out of this thing. And otherwise it was going to stay sitting there rotting. It was already starting to get rust in the doors and everything else from it not being covered. The owners had a rotary in it. Tried to port it. Didn't work out. It didn't run right, whatever. So they got rid of the rotary and tranny. So I bought it as a roller. I didn't junk the rotary. Rotaries are cool. I love the cars. Australia, all the guys down there building them, they're wicked badass cars, but that's just not really the technology or what a lot of people do here or anything else. But I also don't want, I want the car to go 10s, 11s, but be literally everyday drivable with the combo I'm putting in it. And I know once you start really boosting the rotaries and stuff, they get a little less reliable for sure. So sorry to those that don't like seeing it get cut up, but the car will get used and driven way more than it ever would have if this didn't happen to it. I'm almost positive. So hopefully you guys stick around to watch it. If not, I understand. I might get a few thumbs down or whatever from the rotary guys, but hey, that's what you got to do. You got to make something different. You got to do something a little different from the rest, and that's what I'm doing here. All right, so I got the tranny jack and the tranny on it, 6L80E out of like a Pontiac G8. It's much bigger, that's why I had to cut the big hole in it. So what I'm gonna try to do is leave the tranny on the jack as high as it can go, and then set the lift down over it and try to mock up like a cross member mount or whatever. So hopefully that'll be high enough to where I can still get underneath the lift and work on it, like on a creeper or whatever, to build a cross member for the tranny. So the tranny's kind of sitting in here. I cut it extra big. I can always kind of cut and splice the floor back together. I just want to be able to get the jack up in there, have everything clear, and then I'll figure out a trans tunnel. So what I'm looking at now is I'm not sure the height that needs to sit for the whole tranny to be able to clear and all that type of stuff. So what I'm probably going to do is take the oil pan off the engine, measure it out, kind of get some spacers, to space it off the K-member to see exactly where the engine's kind of going to sit, so then I get a better idea where the tranny needs to be. Alright, so I've been out here trying to get a thumbnail with April, and she's being a pain, but I think we might have gotten it. So we're going to be working on this car. She's been wanting to race ever since I've got this car done. She helped me with it, but it got a little too fast, a little too quick, so this car will be a good start for her to learn how to race, go drive, learn how to do a burnout, possibly do some bracket racing or index racing, maybe some hard tire no prep.
Yeah, I want a no prep race.
So something like that. So we got the engine in it, right?
Yeah, we did.
And you think it's gonna fit?
It's working out.
So we're kind of getting it in there. I'm thinking I'm gonna have to cut this bar out and then mount a radiator in it, probably go an electric water pump, and then try to stick 2 fans here with the alternator and like right down in here, and then we'll see what happens. I thought I was gonna have to put the radiator underneath the back. I ended up pulling the fuel tank out, if you guys can see there. So I was gonna put the radiator back there, but I'd like to keep it up front if I can, as long as with everything else. We got the transmission in it. It's pretty decent. Probably have to pie cut the trans tunnel, lift it up, so then I can get the transmission, the drive shaft to fit. You can see it sits maybe an inch lower than the frame rails, so that's probably about right. I need to get an oil pan coming so we can get that mounted. We have a couple events that we want to do this year. What's some events you want to do?
Race week, drag week would be cool. There's quite a few events that I want to go to. We could go to some of the...
Airstrip would be cool too.
Airstrip
they want to be
cool.
fast. I mean, so the engine went 14...
Streetcar takeover Denver.
Yeah, Streetcar takeover Denver for sure. And then I'm just going to try to put her in whatever class the car kind of fits in. It's not going to probably be real competitive in anything other than maybe some
just
index
drive
classes.
The car.
Yeah, so the goal is to drive the car from here to, say, Denver, which is about 2.5 hours, drive it back home, and go enjoy the event. The ice cream cruise that 1320 puts on would be cool. We'd like to hit that. That'd be probably a 5 or 6 hour drive in it. We'd like to do Rocky Mountain Race Week. There's a half-mile event there too that, as you guys saw in the other build that my dad's doing, is a Buick Skylark. So kind of we'll see who gets what done. Got a little competition going on who's going to get it done first. I'm slacking, but I still think I can get done first. So we'll see what happens if April will get off her butt and help. Stay off her phone, maybe. Help? No?
I do.
She pulled the interior out of the car. It's not a... Interior's not too bad, I guess. We're gonna leave the factory interior in the car, maybe reupholster it. Spin the links right here around, and then try to put the steering rack in here. And I'm not sure if it'll come back here, be out front. Probably need to come through here somewhere, or possibly underneath the sway bar. I'm not too sure if I want to try to do a full exhaust out the back of the car, or to come out the side with like little bullhorns, give it a little more race car feel. The engine will be sticking out of the hood as of right now a little bit. If I put an LT1 intake on it, I might be able to get away with just using the factory hood, which it's all bent up and everything from the car being in a wreck. I'm gonna put a 9-inch in the car. Just gonna swap all the brackets over from the factory rear end and just mount a 9-inch in there with like a 225 drag radial, I think. So that's our plan. She wanted to race the other car, which maybe after she gets comfortable in this one, she can make a couple passes in the white car. We'll just have to see what happens and see if she can keep this car in one piece. Can't wreck it. Can't wreck it. There's not extra parts for it. So, like I said, I'll get an oil pan coming. And I need a few other parts that to hopefully help with the build. I got an engine plate right here. Just like an ICT billet engine plate. So I'll have to notch it out somewhere in here and mount the frame rails using a couple fabrication tabs. Maybe even be able to show April how to weld. You want to learn how to weld, babe? Huh?
I wanted to do that a long time ago. So
maybe we'll let her weld a little bit on it. Completely stock L83 Gen 5 LT direct injected engine. The reason for going to that, so then I can put it on HP tuners and learn more of the tuning situation with that to help me practice. And then the engine, and then the transmission's a 6L80E. It's a completely stock 6L80E. So the engine transmission's no different than anything you'd get out of like a new pickup or car. So the combo should be completely reliable, very drivable. You should be able to daily drive the car if you wanted to. So a really neat little build, and it went 15.0 in a single cab pickup that weighed almost 5,000 pounds at Bandimere at altitude. So I'm thinking like 1280 car on motor here without touching anything. Thanks for watching episode number 1 of the RX2 build. If you would please like and subscribe below. Let me know what you guys think. If you have any ideas, comments, questions, concerns, or anything that I can answer for anybody, please leave a comment below. I'll be bringing you more content as soon as I can when I get further on the build. And then after the car is completed, we'll be out filming a bunch with the car.